everyone, welcome to the Health Made Simple show this week, where we are going to talk about sleep, which is pretty exciting because it's a big topic. One where we always have a bunch of questions and a lot of discussion, which is awesome. So make sure as you're listening to this at any time you put any questions in the chat for us. So welcome to those that have already jumped on. Say hi and let me know where you are dialing in from in the chat. Hello, hello. If you're just joining us now, welcome to the Health Made Simple show this week. Okay, well, I'm going to share this on Facebook so more people can access what we're talking about. And while I'm doing that, yeah, say hi in the chat. Let me know where you are calling in from. I am here all the way in Perth, Australia. So for me, my day is just starting off. Okay, let's just share this on Facebook. Give us a minute here and then we will get started. Hey Lisa, good to see you on the call. Glad it was easier to get on. Hey Dr. Bart.
Well, hello there, Karen.
G'day, Eric. Look at that, getting your Aussie on, see? I love it. G'day, g'day.
Yeah, so I still am, I don't know to say good morning to you or just, I guess it's just good day, right? That's the whole idea?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, right?
Good to see you, Eric. Welcome aboard here. Again, one of my favorite, I don't know, yeah, do I say that every week? Do I say this is my favorite topic every week?
It's so many good topics.
Yeah. This is, well, I say this is one of the more important ones, and everyone will see in just a moment here why I put sleep into this almost a category all by itself. But this is a great one because talking about being able to impact or change a life, like in a heartbeat, this is one of those easy ones. Let me see if I can get rid of some of that. There we go. And I get a bunch of friends with me today. So if you guys, if you have opportunities, make sure you put where you're from in the little chat section over there. I got a bunch of friends with me tonight. I got Paris is in the house. Some of you already know Paris. I can see Bob over there sniffing. You guys can't see it, but George is with me as well. So I've got plenty of people here, or not people, but I got plenty of crew here to help me out. All right, give me 1 second. I'm just going to tweak this light just a little bit. Wrong button there. All right. And then Kel, we're going to go, Karen, we're going to go live on Facebook.
We are live on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone that's joining us on Facebook and of course here on Zoom. If you guys have questions, especially like tonight, if you're here tonight because you want to, level up your health, level up your life, especially when it comes to sleep, if there's something that if you're challenged with sleep and you make a change, your life is about to get better. So that's my goal tonight. And I tell you, Karen, I've been doing this for 27 years and it never changes. Sleep is a priority. It trumps. I'll start by this. I'll say that and for many that have been following me on Facebook, you've heard me talk before, you read some of the stuff that I put out there. I say there's two most important things that every human needs to be able to do, and they have to be able to do it really good, really naturally, really easily, and do it every day. You got to sleep, got to poop. Those two things. So this topic tonight, if you've ever had a sleeping challenge, you know that this can be torturous to your life. It can interfere with every component of your life, and that's why we're doing this one tonight. And the beauty is, after all these years, I've got it locked down. I've got it down in such a way, you guys will see tonight, that I got it down. We can real quickly help you identify where your sleeping issue really is, find out some key ways to take care of it, and then answer all the questions that are around it, all the different types of sleeping disorders, different remedies that are out there. Are some of them not such good ideas, etc.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so before we dive into all of that, for some of the people that are just joining us for the first time, I wanted to do a quick intro because, as you said, Dr. Bart has been a healthcare practitioner for over 20 years. I think you said 27 years, and practices a whole range of modalities. So chiropractic, acupuncture, kinesiology, nutrition and supplementation, functional medicine, all out of his clinic, Balance Health Studio on Seagrove Beach in Florida. So Dr. Bart is also the founder of the Health Edge program, which is a virtual health program for executives and entrepreneurs wanting to take their health to the next level. So Dr. Bart works with thousands of people all around the world, including celebrities and athletes. And so, what you said, I love that you've got it dialed in. You know what to do when people come in with sleep issues. So I'm really excited to dive in. We were talking before the show, and there's lots of different questions and issues and things that come up. And so let's start with sleep 101.
All right.
What is the stage of sleep? Like, what? Yeah, let's run through that.
Sleep 101, and part of Sleep 101 is identifying that we have, like, what is sleep supposed to be? I'm old school, so I used to think that, if I could get 4 or 5 hours of sleep and still have a productive day, that was a good thing. That's part of the knucklehead syndrome. That is not a long-term strategy. It's certainly not a superhuman strategy. So Sleep 101 goes like this. One, in an ideal world, we're going to get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. Everyone's going to vary a little bit different, and there's ways you can figure out down to the minute what's good for you. With that being said, there's really 3 phases, if you want to call it, the sleep. And these are important for us to understand because they'll help us understand why sleep is it's so powerful for us. I call it the number 1 medicine in the world. No, hands down, sleep. So everyone listening to this, understand this. You heal when you sleep. You improve when you sleep. You anti-age when you sleep. You get bigger muscles when you sleep. You increase your metabolism when you sleep. You balance out your hormones when you sleep. So get more sleep. Like if you only got the first 2-3 minutes of the show, get more sleep, you win. So sleep 101. So there's really 3 parts of sleep. One part is light sleep, and I'll explain these in just a moment. Light sleep, then there's deep sleep, and then there's REM. And most people have heard of REM, the rapid eye movement type of sleep. So let me go through those because sometimes we don't recognize what the value of those are. So light sleep is where we spend the majority of our sleep through the course of the night. And this is important, even though we call it light sleep, this is actually where most of the metabolic changes in your body happen. This is your metabolism. So in light sleep, this is when your body is metabolizing most of the stuff. It's doing a lot of recovery. That type of stuff is happening in light sleep. And you'll spend, let's just say that you're sleeping for 8 hours, you'll spend about 50% of your time in light sleep. And that's very good. Then there's deep sleep. And deep sleep is super, super important because deep sleep is when your body recovers. This is when you get muscle growth. This is when you get muscle repair. So if you're exercising, if you're using your body physically, you need a good high quality amount, and I'll explain how many hours there, of deep sleep. And deep sleep is it is exactly what it sounds like. It's deep sleep, and we're recovering body there. Now, REM sleep, the rapid eye movement, is a little bit different. This is actually when we restore our memory. This is where we get our creativity, and this is where we start to have dreaming. So for those of you out there that don't have any memory or any recollection of your dreams, you're probably not entering a lot of REM. That right there, I got a loud dog over here. That right there is indication right there. If you don't have any dreams that you remember, so listen closely. This is where I find it clinically over the last 20 plus years. I'll ask people, hey, listen, do you know your dreams? Nah, I never dream. You don't even know you have a sleeping issue. Yeah. But that is a sleeping issue. In REM is where we get our memory, our cognition. That's where we get dreaming taking place here. So it's real important that we have those 3 phases. So REM, ideally an hour and a half to 2 hours a night. Deep sleep, bulldogs are being exited. The deep sleep, about an hour to an hour and a half a night to recover the physical body. So that would make up roughly 3 to 4 hours a night, and then 3 to 4 hours a night in your light sleep. So that generally is sleep 101.
And that's so interesting because I hadn't really heard it broken out like that, but I recognize within myself that if I haven't really gotten enough sleep or I haven't been prioritizing it enough, I don't dream. You know, like I notice that I only dream when I am not not going to bed too tired, you know, not prioritizing the sleep. I can really notice that they're the times I don't dream. So it's interesting to see that that's because perhaps we're not getting into enough REM sleep.
Yeah. So for us to, I when it comes to, we're always moving toward that superhuman strategy. Like, how do we get the most out of these bodies and this life that we have? We have all these opportunities ahead of us. The challenge is sometimes we're not up for the job because we don't have the right strategies preparing our bodies. And sleep is really at the top of this priority list. So if we can figure out, like, oh, I don't dream that well. Oh, man, I'm really sharp in the morning. My memory is good, but my body doesn't feel good. We can then hunker down and start to strategize. And Karen, before we get off tonight, I'll give a bunch of suggestions. So sleep, much like many other components of our health, is it's interactive. There's multiple phases, many things that can incorporate helping us sleep better and better. So I'll make sure that I'll give you some of the magical herbs that I share, that I use with my clients. I'll talk about some of the other strategies that I use personally, but also that I use in clinic. So it isn't just like, here, take one pill. And I don't do that. I'm going to recommend some incredible herbs later tonight. Yeah, I always have like a whole list of things to start to incorporate so that it's multifaceted.
So yeah, for sure. So let's we were talking earlier before the show about the different types of sleep challenges, and I loved how you broke those down.
I'm sorry, say that again, Karen.
Oh, I said before the show we were talking about the different types of sleep challenges.
Yeah.
So and I loved how you broke that down, because again, what you're talking about is being able to decipher exactly what type of sleep problem we have, or where are you not optimized in terms of your sleep, so that we can actually find out what strategies are going to be better for you.
So after all these years, and I got a little friend that just needs to join me for a little while here. So after all these years in clinic, one of the most common things I hear is people say, I have a sleeping issue. Yeah. Then we have to figure out what kind. So everyone listen real close when I say this. There's 3 types or 3 categories you can put yourself into when it comes to you have a sleeping issue. Category number 1 is this: you have a hard time falling asleep. And we're going to go into all those details, and also very specifically what type of nutrients and herbs you might need for that. So that's number 1. Do you have a hard time falling asleep? The second would be, can you fall asleep okay, but you wake up during the night, and then you get restless and you're losing out on important sleep time. So that's number 2. And then number 3, the sleep issue is that you do okay on number 1, you do okay on number 2, but you wake tired. That's a sleeping issue as well. So we'll talk about all 3 of those, but those are the 3. So right from the beginning here, we recognize that sleep is important, but there's different types of sleep, and then put yourself in one of these categories. And if you end up with all 3, you might be in all 3 categories. Again, we'll develop a strategy. By the time we're done here tonight, we'll have a crystal clear kind of strategy on where do you go with these different things. Because listen, right now, I think in our country, the latest stats are 70 to 90 million adults have been diagnosed. That's diagnosed. I mean, they went to the doctor with a sleep issue. So most of the people that come into my office, all of them for that matter, I don't diagnose them with. So that means for the last 20 plus years, that doesn't count one of my clients, because we're not diagnosing. We're just helping their body become superhuman. So there are, we're probably talking about 1 out of 2 adults has some level of a sleeping issue, falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up tired.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of people. And so if if you've got any questions about your own sleep issues, if any of that resonates for you, let me know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know on Facebook so we can answer your questions. Because we've got one from Eric here, and that says if you wake at a certain time of night regularly, that's an indication of any specific health problem.
Yeah, so I'm going to shift gears a little bit with that, and I'm going to put on my Chinese cap for, in traditional Chinese medicine. And when we look at sleep patterns, we apply it to the circadian rhythm, or really what we call the circadian clock. And really that's nature's clock. So the most common time that I will and all the other clinicians see that people wake up is between the hours of 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. And really what that means is that is your liver waking you up. We're not diagnosing that as you have a bad liver. That means your liver's working hard, and most likely it doesn't have all the tools that it needs to handle the job you've given it, which is real important, because if you wake up in that time, most likely you're going to start to lose out on REM sleep, which again, memory, cognition, dreaming, you're going to disrupt all of that. So I just, I'll roll down there. So people are going to have to ask, if it's between 1 and 3 is typically liver. If you wake up between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., it's usually gallbladder. You'll see other symptoms with that, burping and gas and stuff like that. If it's between 3 and 5, you're really looking at your lung field, a breathing issue. And these go deeper. So that's sometimes just discomfort in your own house. It could be like mold in the air, it could be anything, but that discomfort there. We'll go a little bit later than that. If you always wake up, even if you're tired and you can't sleep past 7 a.m., 8 a.m., something like that, often that's associated to the heart meridian. So every part of that sleep cycle associates to, a different liver or a system organ or gland in the body. But most common, 1 to 3, 1 to 4 a.m., and most of the time, depending on what time zone you're in, that's going to be liver.
Okay, interesting. And what about the people, I guess we were talking about those sleep issues, but so they wake up, we'll wake up on time, but we'll still wake up tired.
Yeah, so the number one issue with that is this. And we'll go back to number 1 and 2 in just a moment. But listen, if you fall asleep, okay, you stay asleep, okay, but you're waking up tired, most likely that is an adrenal issue. Okay, and that's when, a little bit of a side topic of tonight, but we covered it a couple of weeks ago, adrenals. That is when get together with your functional medicine doctor, someone who knows how to run a functional panel on your adrenals. It's got to be saliva. You've got to run your cortisol throughout the course of the day. But ultimately, that means you're waking up and you've got very low cortisol. And cortisol is like the built-in caffeine. That's the best way to describe it. If you don't have cortisol when you wake up, you're going to be exhausted. And you might have just been the trooper, the warrior that gets up every day and, get shit done every day. And eventually, even though you can fall asleep and you can stay asleep, you keep waking up tired. There's 2 other reasons. And let's go back to falling asleep if you have an issue. So listen, if you wake up tired every day, but you are getting 8 hours, get with your, someone that does functional medicine, work with me. I'll be happy to, but you need to do a functional, what they call an adrenal stress index test. It's an at-home saliva test. It's not that expensive. Usually, once you do your test, you get results in about 5 to 7 days, and then you start to work on your adrenals. And the beauty is, when you fix them up, again, game changer. That's when you really get, into that superhuman strategy, that status of being like, man, my body works the way I want it to. So, Karen, let's back up a little bit and start with falling asleep. And I do want to, at some point, just tackle all of them. Not that we'll cover everyone, but the sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, insomnia, all of those things. We'll at least touch them a little bit. But let's talk first just about falling asleep issue. So the biggest challenge with that, so this is the way that our body works. Many of you have heard about a hormone that your body produces called melatonin. Melatonin is your help me fall asleep hormone. That's what it does. It doesn't help you stay asleep. It's help me fall asleep hormone. That's what melatonin is. So you got this little gland up in your brain called your pineal gland. And as the circadian clock clicks away and the sun goes down and the sun comes up, as it goes down at night and it starts to get dark, the pineal gland is turned on. When it's turned on, meaning it's getting darker, your body naturally produces and releases melatonin. That's when we get drowsy. Once we get drowsy, then we can fall asleep. And then there's a sequence of hormones that come after that. So melatonin eventually leads to growth hormone, testosterone, progesterone, all those guys are downstream. But that first one, that melatonin one, is very, very important. But mind you that it is released naturally as the body recognizes the change in light. So right now I'm in these bright lights, so not really good for my pineal gland. So because with bright lights and high blue light, which a lot of us have these thingies, right? And we're looking at them, that blue light signals our eyes, and right behind our eyes, in between the eyes, that third eye, there's a pineal gland back there, and that pineal gland with bright light stimulates it, it shuts off. the pineal gland. So you don't produce melatonin. And that becomes the issue with falling asleep. Primary, there's others as well.
Huge issue today, because we are, as you said, we're often sitting there at night and we're on our phone right before bed, or maybe like people are texting or scrolling while they're in bed before they put their phone next to them. So blue light at the moment is, I mean, it's a huge part of our life and potentially a huge impact on our sleep.
Huge, huge. And, you know, listen, I'm as guilty as anyone. I've definitely picked up my phone before bed and I've paid the price. So I monitor my sleep a lot and I have different apps that I use to do that. Yet I'll tell you this, if you have a falling asleep issue right now, one of the simplest, most powerful things you can do is practice making sure that you are in a dark environment for at least an hour prior to bed. So think about the thousands of years that humans were alive. We woke up with the sun, we went to bed with the dark, because you're hanging out in the dark wasn't beneficial. You couldn't see anything. You didn't eat in the dark, none of that stuff. A little bit of firelight, but even firelight was very, very common. But overall, finding that rhythm is one of the most powerful things we do. So falling asleep issue is an issue with your pineal gland, with the ability to two things. One, produce the melatonin. But if I'm getting real with it, there's another big underlying issue there, and that's the ability to calm down. We're just wired. We're just wired. You know, I work with a bunch of entrepreneurs and all around the country, and they're just wired, and they're just wired to go. And even when they want to shut down, they can't. I got moms that literally, like, all day long, they're just like, you know, running after kids and doing all the things to keep up, like, just all that stuff. And when that time comes, they're literally wired. They can't slow down. So clinically, you know, a decade ago, it was almost always an issue with just getting the body to help release or produce more melatonin. And now it's a combo effect where I got to get them to help produce the melatonin. And I'll talk about the different herbs that can do that very effectively, very safely, because we want to produce that melatonin. And in a moment, well, I guess we'll have to talk about why doesn't Dr. Bart recommend taking it? But the other part is, how do we click that switch? How do we start to calm the body down? And that's going to be a huge one as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we talked a lot about that when we talked about stress. So you can also check out the episode we did all about stress, because I mean, it's a huge issue in today's world. We are, as you said, wired right before bed. And so yes, can we just take melatonin? I mean, people do take melatonin. Is that a strategy?
Yeah, so I tell you what, this is where I probably differ from several practitioners out there, even the natural ones. And here's why. So listen, at the end of the day, melatonin is a hormone. And if you're taking melatonin, you're practicing hormone replacement therapy. You are. There's no other way to say it, because you're taking a hormone. And when we take hormones, we shut down our natural production. So I understand when some people say, but I took it and it felt really good. Listen, I've drank enough alcohol, I feel really good too. It doesn't mean it serves me or moves me closer to be superhuman. And if if you were around 10, 12 years ago, maybe not, it was even longer than that. There's times I even recommended it, but over the long haul of helping get to the root cause, I don't use melatonin. If it is a very short term. And Karen, when I say short term, I'm talking 2-3 days, 7 days max. Because if we continue to use it, we're just skating or skirting an issue that's really there. And it's usually one of those two things. We're not shutting off the blue light. We're not creating an environment that's conducive to sleeping. Or second, we're staying so geared up and just taking melatonin. And what happens when you take melatonin, this is very similar to people that are using Xanax or you're using Ambien, you develop a tolerance to it. So this much doesn't work. The more you have it, you got to keep going up because you're not fixing the root cause. So remember, we're trying to get superhuman here again. We're trying to level up our body, level up our health. So in that statement, that means we're going to address what the root cause is here. And the beauty is it's not that hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that about what we talk about each week, because so many times we are just looking at getting rid of the symptom right now. But there's always this underlying cause or some underlying thing that's going on inside your body that if we can get to it, and if we can start to look at that, then you're getting much longer lasting health results, health benefits. So yes. Anna's issue is kind of like related to this first challenge. She's writing here, the biggest issue is staying up too late, not tired at night, so I go to sleep too late.
Yes, okay. That falls into the category of almost what I would say wired and tired. And there's two parts of this. So first, let me say that there's a lifestyle challenge here. So what I'd recommend, and it's the same thing, if that person comes in my clinic, this is what I'd say. All right, you want to fix this? And they have to answer me yes or no. And of course, they're going to say yes. All right, so then you got to be willing to have some discipline here. No matter what, I want you up with the sunlight, period. But I'm too tired in the morning. I don't care. You have to start the rhythm somewhere. So listen, if you stay up later and sleep later, hey, if that works for your lifestyle, fine. You know, I would encourage you to get closer to the circadian rhythm, you know, up with the light, down with the dark. But if you don't get up early, you're going to stay up later and later. And that just makes common sense here. But most likely, so what I hear, and I don't know if this is exactly what the question is, they get through their day, they might be tired, Karen, through the course of the day. After dinner, they're getting a little drowsy, then boom, all of a sudden they're awake. And they get almost like a second bump. So they're figuring, wow, I feel productive now. So I'll write and I'll do some business strategy. I'll work on some stuff. I'll respond to some emails. And it's because they think, oh, I got this creative urge or surge going on. Really what they have is an adrenal imbalance. That cortisol that was supposed to be produced really high in the morning, it shifted and now it's getting high at night. And that's what we call wired and tired. So again, real simple functional tests. And I recommend if you're having a sleep challenge, most of my peeps that have sleeping issues, I'll usually run an adrenal panel on them because with lack of sleep, if it happens too long, eventually you're going to have an adrenal issue anyways. So I'll run that panel to get clear on the status of their adrenals, whether or not they are producing cortisol. So again, real simple at home saliva test. They can reach out to us. We can send you a test, no big deal.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so what about sleep? So that's falling asleep. What about staying asleep?
Yeah, so staying asleep, I think, is probably the most common that I see. Even more so than staying asleep. I see people waking up. And usually that time is between 1 and 3, but it could be for multiple reasons, multiple times through the course of the night. The number one underlying root cause, whether it be hot flashes, night sweats, going to the bathroom, blood sugar imbalances, the number one underlying root cause is a deficiency in one mineral called magnesium.
Okay.
Yes. So listen, and again, if you've heard me talk before, you talk about how I think magnesium is one of the most powerful, simple, easy to level up your health type things. It's inexpensive, it's easy to take, helps us sleep, helps us poop, it's awesome. So magnesium is a yin mineral, which helps you stay asleep. The truth is, we need certain minerals. We need certain biochemistry to stay asleep. It's not an effortless process. Specifically, magnesium, it's responsible for over 300 different enzymatic reactions in the body. So you need magnesium to trigger all of these different reactions that are taking place with your enzymes. Most of those are operated via the liver. And if you're deficient in your magnesium, boom, your body wakes up. And it'll happen as you're cycling, as you're trying to detox from your liver. So in the event that you're having a hard time staying asleep at night, my simplest go-to, and it could be a lot of other things as well, but my simplest go-to, and I'd probably say with about an 85% success rate, magnesium. And I'll talk, when we get near the end here, I'll talk specifically what types of magnesium I use and why. But with that being said, I want to address another lifestyle thing. So let's chat for a second a little bit about alcohol and sugar. We'll go right to alcohol because, listen, especially nowadays, again, alcohol is being used more now than it has in the last 15 years. You know, the advent of COVID and everything, and I see more sleeping issues. I see more adrenal issues. So here's what happens when we drink alcohol. It's real, and I think for my audience, I think even if you're drinking every night, just hear me out. And you probably know this to some degree, but just hear me out. When you drink alcohol, a lot of people tell me they use alcohol to sleep better. Okay, it can make us tired. Okay, it's a depressant. It will help you fall asleep. So if that was your issue, kudos to you. You'll help fall asleep. The challenge here is this: it's no free pass. You will wake up. You'll wake up in the middle of the night. Your liver will be pushed. You will deplete your magnesium. You will deplete your B vitamins. And that is in the middle of the night, most likely between 1 and 3, 1 and 4 a.m. And the challenge there is that is when you're supposed to get your deepest REM. So there goes your memory, your cognition for the next day. So when we think about Why do we have foggy brain the next day after drinking? It's because you didn't get to REM. And that's such an important part. That's when you're supposed to recover, restore, and rebuild the human body. So remember, sleep is the #1 most powerful medicine in the world. And when you, unfortunately, under the influence of alcohol, and all it takes is one glass of wine, folks, and you will disrupt REM sleep. So you might get a little bit of it, but you will not get the full, complete REM that you have. So you're sacrificing quality of your life for that glass of wine. And I say that because I see so many people that, and I want to push people a little bit. Listen, I know I used to drink alcohol all the time, and I remember that feeling in the morning. I remember not having a clear mind, strong body in the morning. And yet it's right on the other, for many of us, it's right on the other side there. So I literally had a guy today, Karen, and I was sharing this right before the show. One of my patients, he might be watching on Facebook tonight, came in and he monitors his sleep through a sleep app. And he said, Doc, I got to show you this. Check this out. And he pulls up his phone. He shows me all this stuff. And he says, look, these are the nights I drink. These are the nights I don't. And it shows his blood pressure. It shows his heart rate and his heart rate variability. Listen, it's measurable. The evidence is there. This undeniable. And he never put those two together because he's been drinking all the time, just a glass of wine or two a night. So it's there, and that's part of one of the simpler strategies. And listen, maybe I'm not saying you never have a glass of wine or something like that, but at bare minimum, the strategy in the beginning should be more nights off than on.
Yeah, for sure. And what about, so if you do have one of these nights, or perhaps you've gone a period of time where you're not getting enough sleep, can you recover? Can you catch up? Do naps help? Like, how do you recover if you have,
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a couple ways that work and a couple ways that don't work. Let's just say you have really bad sleep one night and you just say, well, I'm just going to stay in bed 15 hours the next day. That actually doesn't work. Yeah. So I want you, Karen, for just a minute, just imagine that a really bad night's sleep because we made some bad choices. And I'm not saying because you had some emotional stuff. I mean, like you went out drinking, you stayed out too late, you watched TV too long. It's like getting punched in the face, okay? And you get a black eye. So the next day, just because you get more sleep doesn't make the black eye go away. It takes time to heal. When we lose sleep, you actually got to recover it over time. So there's definitely a power in naps, man. I love naps. That is one of my favorite superhuman strategies. It's like getting 2 days in one day. So you get to reset by shutting off. And it's really helpful for the people. The people who need the naps the most are the ones who can't nap.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you guys that are out there, you know who you are. So if you're on Facebook watching tonight or you're live on Zoom, you know who you are. You can be like, I can't nap. That person stays wound up. That same person often will have a hard time falling asleep. And they say, well, if I do nap, I won't be able to sleep tonight because they're on off. It's either all on or all off. And there's a nice ebb and flow right in between there. That's probably a little bit healthier.
Yeah, sure. So we've got a question from Ashley on Facebook, and she asks, do you suggest an ideal time to go to sleep, an ideal time to wake up?
Yeah, and Ashley, thanks for the question. I think the simplest answer would be wherever you are, try to follow the sun. So if we could wake up, so just like the rest of the world, like, we don't hear birds in the middle of the night. The animals, for the most part aren't out. So we want to get up with the sun, go slow, get up easy, allow plenty of space and time before we just get after it. Giving our bodies an opportunity to be active, but not on full tilt 10 out of 10. And most of us are operating like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 throughout the course of the day. And then at night, it is important that, listen, so, it's still pretty light out here, but it's going to be going down in the next 45 minutes to an hour. So I energetically should be taking things down. So same thing, Ashley, as you get closer and closer to, like, you're watching the sunset go down, an hour or two after sunset, nighty night.
Yeah. Okay. And what about if you're too tired to sleep though? You're you've been at 9 out of 10 all day, but you're really tired and then you're too tired to sleep.
And Karen, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. So that's that wired and tired. You're so tired, you can't sleep. you end up having a cortisol imbalance. So your body doesn't know to go or not. It doesn't know if it needs to recover and charge you up and bump you up again, because, and this is kind of a really more of our adrenal talk, but what happens is you've been tired for so long. Your body's giving you so many signals that it wanted more sleep, it wanted a nap, and you kept ignoring it. Now you've confused the center, really your hypothalamus gland. So you're getting signals, and the body said, man, the brain doesn't know how to interpret anymore. We're tired, we're not tired. Do we have to, rev up and pump ourselves up once again? So again, if that's you, then you go back or find someone like myself who does functional testing. It can do, an adrenal stress index test, find out the status of your adrenals, also incorporating some of the herbs that we'll be talking about, also incorporating the environmental stuff, which we didn't cover yet, did we? The environment for a room.
No, we did talk about, we should, we talked about it being dark or the light, but yeah, let's talk about how your room should be. Yeah,
this is an interesting one because my wife and I used to differ in this. So I would always just say, my old school thing was all I need is 4 or 5 hours of sleep, no big deal. And I'll go to bed with the TV on, right?
Go to bed with the TV on?
I used to.
Okay.
Right?
In your room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But not anymore. That doesn't fly anymore. So I used to think that was perfectly fine. I did it all my life. I did it through college. I passed out with the TV on. Okay. So that's not good. So here's the fundamentals in your room right now. And this would be one of the ways you can start leveling up today. Cool, under 67 degrees at night, preferably closer to 65. Dark means everything. So remember, artificial light is the one that is the challenge. We see through our eyelids. I know that seems weird, but we see through our eyelids. So if there's a bright light, like one of those little lights you might have on we don't have VCRs anymore, but like a smoke detector.
Something. Yeah. Like if you're in a hotel room, they've got an alarm clock next to you, might have the lights, the time on.
Yes. Yeah. So speaking of hotels, when my wife and I travel, we go to a hotel room, she literally covers, we bring tape, we cover them up and everything. But it's amazing when you have that little dark little cubby hole to sleep in, how much easier it is for your body to not have to have those awarenesses of the bright light, et cetera, that's going on. So cold, dark, and of course, quiet. It would be ideal.
Yeah. Okay, we've got another question from Darcy here. Can you give some advice about sleep and travel? Is that perhaps a time you could use melatonin? Thinking internal travel, 8 hours plus.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you some options in just a moment, Darcy, in terms of different herbs that I prefer on that. But here's a couple things that are very, very valuable when it comes to travel. Assuming you're going to travel and you're probably going to be in a different bed, at least for some period of time. So one of the things that I recommend for everyone that travels is bring anything and everything that you can with you that's reasonable, that will mimic the feeling and the pattern and rhythm of home. So some of the simple things would be things like your pillow. That is one of the most undervalued things. So you sleep with a pillow, a comfort thing, every single night. And then you go to some foreign land, sleep on some weird bed and put some on your body. Energetically, it's just not flying. So I encourage anything you can carry forward, do that. And then as quickly as you can, when you get back, if you're changing time zones and stuff, quickly get back to, even if it means you're going to be overly tired. And I'll talk about, I'm going to give you some herbs on how to adapt real quickly to fall asleep and get your body you got to shut off and create a balance between what we call yin and yang. And so magnesium is wonderful because magnesium is a yin mineral. And that means it's very calming for the body. It's a vasodilator versus vasoconstriction. When we travel, there's always some level of fight or flight taking place. We got these busy schedules. You're checking for your plane. You're on a plane. You're flying. You're up. You're down. So you're stuck in sympathetic dominance. So we want to do anything that breaks that. And the comfort creatures of home, that's what we want to do.
What about sound machines? We've got a question from Anna here. Do sound machines interfere with sleep?
No, they really don't. As long as they're mimicking something that would naturally be, that you would mimic, that could represent outside or nature. Sometimes we forget that this, what we have in our worlds and these lights and all this kind of stuff, it's still in the big picture only been around for a couple hundred years. Our DNA, our genes, our mitochondria are built upon thousands and thousands of years of sleeping under, the moon, that kind of stuff, in sleeping under just natural environments and listening to those types of things. And that's why they're very soothing for some people and they don't even know why. Speaking of the moon, a lot of people will find themselves very sensitive to not having good sleep during a full moon. So when we talk about sleep issues, it is also important that we don't take 1 or 2 nights and make huge adjustments because we had 1 or 2 nights off. The reality is this: some nights we're not going to sleep good. And it's okay. We are so strong. We are so powerful. We have such amazing recuperative bodies that, just give it a day or two. Especially when it's self-induced, like because you drank too much or something like that, whatever. So in the event you have 1 or 2 nights off because the moon's out or something like that, or it was too loud out night. So don't make huge changes in your life simply because 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah. And what about anxiety around that? Like sometimes if people can't sleep for a while, then it becomes, they get really anxious about being able to sleep or being able to get back to sleep once they've woken up, and anxiety then becomes kind of another flow-on effect from this.
Yeah, I think that's real. I think any one of us that's ever experienced, insomnia or just the inability to sleep, and then you get worried about the fact that you're not going to have another good sleep, and then it just, you're going to have enough day, and it gets inside your head, and you're lying there, and you're thinking, oh my God, here we are again. You don't even want to check the clock because it's going to say it's 2:30, 3 o'clock, and that's the last thing in the world you want to do is be still up at 3 o'clock again. So in those moments, Karen, and so everyone listen closely to this one. You got to change the pattern. You got to get up out of your bed, walk down to the spare bedroom, lie down in that bed, go downstairs, get on the couch, change the pattern. Something has to interrupt because you already know staying there is not going to work. It's just going to dive deeper and deeper and deeper. So interrupt the pattern. Get up. And I'd even say grab a snack. Grab like a nice, like fat and protein snack, and then go back and just lie down. Interrupt the pattern. Because in those moments, Karen, most people get stuck in that sympathetic dominant state, and that's that fight or flight, because now they're stressed and they got some anxiousness combined with the poor sleep. So get up and move, change the rhythm.
I think that interrupt the pattern, if I've got something perhaps that's like that even during the day while I'm awake, I'll have to go for a quick run or a walk or like change. If you got to interrupt the pattern sometimes because it's really hard just to talk yourself out of it if you're just still in the same environment. So I love that one. We got a couple more questions on Facebook. So, well, I guess you kind of answered this because Janine asked us, do pillows or mattresses matter? And do you have a suggestion for one? Do you have ones that you like?
I do. And yes, they do. So it's kind of a big topic. So, all right, I'm going to throw out, I get asked all the time, what's the ideal sleeping posture? So the ideal sleeping posture is flat on your back. Or any posture you're sleeping in, but our structure of our body. So many of you out there that practice yoga, you do this entire wonderful practice, and at the end of yoga, you lie flat on your back in what they call shavasana. That is the most neutral, harmonizing spot for the body to circulate, to breathe, to relax, to non-weight bearing. So that's wonderful. It's balanced. That's really, really nice for the body. So as close as we can get to sleeping on our back, with the smallest pillow possible. What we don't want to do is crank your head up. Karen, I can't tell you how many cases of sleep apnea that I've had come into my office that I just changed their pillow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they got their head cranked down and then they're overweight and they got some inflammation. I change your pillow, change your diet, and next thing you know, gone.
Wow.
So what we do, physical posture, even when we're sleeping, if you're sleeping all cranked up, you're going to have some challenges physically. Do our beds matter? They sure do. So here's what I would say. This is a whole nother topic. And we're going to go through it. We're going to have a product night, folks. Like we'll cover everything from air filters to water things, to purifiers, to beds, you name it. But I will say this with beds. Before you go out and buy your next bed, start looking into the chemicals that beds have. They are some of the highest chemical laden things on the face of this earth because they all have fire protectants in them. So, and just a quick note on that. So we want to find beds, and I have some that are on our website and stuff, but we'll do that all together here. The beds themselves. So there's some studies out there about pregnant women, and they test their breast milk, And 100% of the women out there have fire protecting agents in their breast milk. 100%, not 55%, not 98%, 100%. And they get it from their beds. That, and now our clothes have all these fire protectants on it too. So we'll have a show and we'll talk about how we look for to reduce, because that's part of being superhuman too. We got to make sure the chemicals get out.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Beds, 100%. If you think your bed is old and dead, it is. And it's such an important investment for us. So, about every 10 years or so, we probably need a new one.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time on our beds.
Yeah.
Eric, but if he lays on his back, he snores really hard. So he has to lay on his side. I mean, laying on his side's okay as well, isn't it?
Pretty good. Yeah. We get into shoulder issues and stuff like that. So we're like training. And so I say this out loud. One of the best natural medicines out there for sleeping is yoga.
Yeah.
I'm obviously an advocate of yoga, but it moves and gets the body. So in Chinese medicine, we always talk about qi, and blocked qi will stop the ability to breathe, stop the ability to sleep, stop the ability to balance out. So when we do our yoga, we get our whole body moving, we get our qi flowing, you rest better. It's just one of the most easiest natural medicines. So Eric, if you're not already, it's yoga time, brother.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Love yoga for sure. And so when we're talking about, snoring or things like that, what about sleep apnea? We touched on sleep apnea, but what is that? And yeah.
So without going into detail all those, because they're all related. So sleep apnea is interesting. Sleep apnea is actually a breathing issue, not a sleeping issue. It's an oxygen exchange issue. Literally, the airway is getting closed down, and people wake up because they're gasping for air. So oftentimes with sleep apnea, if you go the medical route, you'll be recommended to use something called like a CPAP machine. It's continuous positive airway pathway. Airway pathway, yeah. And really, they're pumping air into into your body, so it always stays open. It's almost like they're pumping up a balloon and keeping that wide open. But here's the thing. Listen, many people say, man, now that I'm used to my CPAP machine, I can sleep again. That's not fixing the underlying cause. We were not designed, you were not born to be on a CPAP machine. Remember, sleep should happen natural and easy. So if that's the case, when it comes to sleep apnea, this is at the root of sleep apnea is inflammation, 100%. This is a diet thing. This is get the inflammation out of your body. Probably have to lose some weight if you have the snoring that goes along with that. And we know these things, but the beauty is when we start to make those changes and we start to improve all of them, we see the sleep improve, we see the energy improve, we see the mental capacity, and that's how we're inching up toward that superhuman, status that we're looking for.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we got another question from Cassie on Facebook, and she's asking, she said, that's why I have dark circles under my eyes. So what about dark circles under people's eyes?
Yeah, so sometimes that can be sleep, no doubt. That's an adrenal function. So the adrenals, but I'll tell you how this happens. So the adrenals have a relationship with your kidneys. They produce a very specific hormone that helps your kidneys keep in action. It's like a key that keeps your kidneys functioning properly. Those kidneys participate in blood pressure management and keeping our blood pressure regulated, but also that excess fluid. If you have dark circles underneath your eyes, adrenal issue or gallbladder issues. So I'm sorry, what was the name again? Cassie, if in the event that you got the dark circles, you're just exhausted, there's probably a component in there that's involving your adrenal glands. Let's get those really strong and robust. And or if you have some other associated symptoms, like if you get a lot of burping or you get a lot of gas, there's a good chance that we have a buildup of estrogen in the body. It's slowing down the gallbladder, and we got to just flush that out. And then for that, you can just eat a whole bunch of beets every day and you'll be good to go. It's a little more than that, but that's a good start.
That is a good start. Awesome. Well, we kind of touched on some of these supplements that help sleep. We talked about the fact that there's some kind of for each of these challenges or each of these issues we're talking about, falling asleep, staying asleep, and being tired when we wake up. Should we dive into some of these supplements?
Yeah, let's dive into them, because that's really where rubber hits the road. And this is over the years. I've used so many different things. So I'm going to give you tonight the ones that I found the most consistently effective right away. And that's most of us, that's what we're looking for. And then at the same time, we're moving in the direction of helping the root cause as well. So the first was, we'll go steps 1, 2, 3 here. In the event that you have a hard time falling asleep. Again, that if I bring that back, that was a pineal gland issue. That was a melatonin issue. And then it's also being wound up. My absolute favorite herb that I use clinically is something called Valerian complex. So it's valerian root with a couple others. And one of them, so valerian has been known for thousands of years. We've used this in Chinese medicine again for thousands of years. And it is in the same, I guess, family as something like Ambien. It's hypnotic. And that's what meaning it calms the body. It's it kind of just chills you out, which is nice. So very, very good. The beauty of it is that there's no side effects. Remember those other things, Karen, like Ambien and Xanax. Listen, I know you know this, but you're not supposed to do those long term. And and it's not my job to pull people off medications or put them on. And so you guys know that. Listen, I'm not acting as your doctor tonight. But listen, I see so many people, and I say, how long have you been on the Ambien? Oh, for 4 years. No, folks. Listen, you go right to the information that it provides and say no more than 2 weeks at a time. Why? Because of its impact on the liver. So that and Xanax, listen, 2 weeks, 8 weeks max. And you have to have a conversation with your doctor and say, doc, why do all the research say not to be on any of these more than 8 weeks? How do you get off? That getting off is a little bit, that's a different conversation, but nonetheless, valerian root, which is a hypnotic, basically calms it down. My favorite thing about valerian root, and this is why I started to use it so much clinically, there is research papers out there, peer-reviewed research papers out there show that it increases the function and restores function back to the pineal gland. So it can actually help your body go back to making the hormones melatonin, which is huge because that's ultimately how we fall asleep again. So in that same herb that I use it, so it's valerian root, and then there's some passion flower. So passion flower, for many people, know that this is like awesome when it comes to like menopause and just calming the body. Remember, I said there's two reasons we don't fall asleep, and one, we're wired, we're geared, so we need to have that calming effect. The valerian root is very common, passion flower very common, and then the third part I always just like saying is called jujube seeds. That herb right there is absolutely fantastic, especially if any of my women out there are having any hot flashes, any night sweats, that type of stuff. In Chinese medicines, we say that it quiets the mind. And that's what a lot of us need. That's what I find, that we need to quiet the mind. So that's number one. So that's the first one. So if you're having a hard time falling asleep, that's fantastic. And the beauty here is that it works also just calming the body. I'll usually have people take that a couple hours before bed. Here's an important thing to understand about valerian. The longer you take it, the more it can actually restore the ability for the pineal gland to make the melatonin. And then often I find people just don't need it anymore. So that's one of the beauties of it, where you won't run out of it again because you're using it medicinally to help actually improve the function of your body. So the second one, I mentioned it earlier, magnesium. If you have a hard time staying asleep or you find yourself waking through the course of the night, one of the simplest things to use is magnesium. I use a very specific type. It's called magnesium lactate. There's a lot of different types of magnesiums out there. Yet clinically, the goal is get the best work done, get the best stuff done as fast as can be, and make sure that it's safe and effective for the body. So magnesium lactate is a type of magnesium that is very easy for your body to process, and it crosses both the blood-brain barrier and the barrier of the body. And why that's so important? Because remember earlier I was talking about those two parts of sleep, the body, and we want to take care of that. That's in deep sleep, and the brain, that was the REM. Magnesium will have an impact in supplying both of those. And then also knowing that magnesium is probably one of the most deficient minerals in the human body, just across the board, because stress reduces it, alcohol reduces it, sugar reduces it, sweating reduces it, poor sleep reduces it, stress reduces it. So that's one of the reasons we're so deficient in magnesium. And the beauty too is it helps you sleep, helps you poop. So we don't need a lot of it. I usually do about between 200 and 300 milligrams before bed. You don't need all of them all at that time. But often, the beauty clinically, often I find people within a night or two. That's the beauty. Some people have to build up that magnesium store back in there. Unlike Valerian often I find people, if they're on it for about 90 to 120 days, and the reason that is, you want to get that full life cycle of a red blood cell, which is 120 days. So a lot of the supplements you want to take for at least that long to really see the deepest impact. But something like magnesium, because those other things that deplete it, you stay on it. Like you stay on it. You might come off it a little bit, but that's just a good everyday in your bucket of supplements, good one to take. So another one I'd recommend, and we've talked about it before on this show, it's like the secret weapon. And this is if you just have an overall sleeping issue. You're falling asleep, staying asleep, random, you're exhausted here and there, you can't unwind, you're just kind of wound up, you're stuck that way. It's something called Kava. Now, Kava is the chill out pill. It's the master. And you can use this in a couple different ways. So Kava is super, super effective, super safe. But folks, listen to me close on this. I only trust one source. I use this company called MediHerb out of Australia, Karen's hometown here. Yes. They use a water-based Kava. And this is super safe, so it processes through the liver. There's some other Kavas out there that get a bad rap when you do Dr. Google, but this is not the Kava we're talking about. But the powerful thing, Karen, about Kava is this, that it works immediately. So if you're wired up and you just can't fall asleep, you can take 1, 2, 3. Every body is different. This is where you got to learn to know your body. And it's really not even on the size of your body. It's just how wound up you are and how easily you unwind. That's the interesting thing. So for me, one and done. Like I get one, I'm going to bed. Other people that might live in my household might need a little bit more than me. So just because, we're all just a little bit different here. The beauty about Kava, you don't have to use it every night. It works in that moment. My favorite thing about the Kava is being able to use it in the middle of the night. This is one you literally can, if you cannot sleep, you can roll over, grab 2, and it'll unwind you. It literally works like a muscle relaxer. So it has a hypnotic effect. It relaxes the muscle and it's safe and gentle. Zippo side effects. So for some people out there that are using things like Xanax or Ambien, there's a hangover effect with that. Unfortunately, and those people, again, and I don't want to harp on medications, but and at the same time, I know people why they do it, because not sleeping is torturous. But unfortunately, part of the side effect of a lot of those medications is poor memory. And poor memory is exhausting to your adrenal system. Right? So it's all connected here. So with all that being said, the beauty of Kava, no hangover effect. There's not going to be that, you're not going to have that, well, I took 5 Kava last night and I can't move today. No, you'll get rid of them. You'll excrete it out of the body. So it's really those 3 as your weapons in terms of tools to have at home. Sleeping better, being able to relax, being able to stay asleep, and then getting up in the morning and having, the energy to get going after your day.
I love that. It's our secret weapon to chill out.
Yeah. And that Kava, it is literally the one that, we've talked about it before in the show with stress. It's the one you carry around in your purse or you keep in your car. Because if you get to the point where when you're a little wound up, and that's part of it. Listen, we're not inhuman. We're going to be impacted. So this time of COVID and everything, if you feel yourself just revved up, you got to take some action to unrev, change the pattern, get outside, take a Kava. And then it's just and you just come back and you're just a nicer person. You're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I love it. So we talked a little bit about the adrenal test and we've talking about some supplements and some things. If people really do have a deeper sleep issue or they want to dive a bit deeper with you, they have to be in Seagrove, or in Florida, or do they, how do they work with you?
Real simple. We do it virtually, just like you and I are doing right now, talking to everyone. Email us here, connect with us. We set up a time. And the beauty of Karen is that we can do everything we just talked about. I can mail out lab work requisites. We can send out functional testing right to your doorstep. You can do most of the testing that we can do, especially the functional testing, you do in your house. That's beauty. So you can do it right from home. And if you need to go to a lab test, get some blood drawn, we'll find a lab that you can do it. And then we get on a call like this. And again, each week I tell everyone, I'm liking this environment more and more. So, this whole we've been doing it now for a little while anyways, but then the COVID kind of sped it up. We're doing more of it, and I really like it. There's an opportunity for, you know, me and my patients and my clients to really kind of connect a little bit better, I think, than we were doing in the office. So it's, you know, you can have your dog in the background. So it's really easy. If anyone wants to, you know, just reach out to us and we'll connect with you. Yeah,
for sure. And we'll put the details in the chat for you guys so that you can jump in there. Daniela asks, what about GABA?
GABA. So that's, you know, that is a good, I'm glad you brought that up. So GABA can be fantastic. And this is one of the simplest things. So in terms about like, you know, other lifestyle things that we can do, some of the simple things are just, I'm going to roll through a couple. Acupuncture. Absolutely. Getting chi to flow. Another way, just very like what I was talking about with, you know, with the yoga. Chiropractic. If you've got misalignments, tension on your nervous system, very difficult for your body to rest when your body's defending itself against physical discomfort or nerve pain. So one of the other things that I'll often recommend is make sure you get sunlight every day. It's very supportive of human health. And the other is that, listen, get some animal proteins. And one of the reasons is because amino acids develop our neurotransmitters better than anything. And I'll see it. So, you know, we were talking before the show, and I say sometimes I can see people, not just because they look exhausted, who I know are going to have sleep conditions. And follow me here. Pale white, poor muscle tone. Both of those things. So often I can categorize that person as being like, I need you to get outside, I need you to exercise. So that very person will say, get some sunlight, eat some meat. And the GABA is something that the more good amino acids that you can digest, you can make that. And that would be the ideal world. Yeah.
Nice. We have another question here from Jennifer, who said, would any of the supplements that we've been talking about tonight need to be avoided if alcohol has been consumed?
No. But this is what I would say. Don't take them with your alcohol. Don't waste them. You know, do your alcohol, then do your leveling up. Like, and so maybe you're really meaning like, if you go out drinking, can you take those? Absolutely, positively, no issues with the magnesium. And you're going to want to take that because you're depleting your magnesium at twice the rate when you drink alcohol. So that's one of the reasons. So listen, twice the rate when you drink that glass of wine, your magnesium's boogieing out of your body at double time. Kava, no issue there. Works as muscle. It's a water-based. Valerian, no issue there as well. Yeah. Okay. No issue with the jujube seed either.
You just wanted to say it again.
I did, yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, to finish off, let's make health simple for everyone here. And what is their one action step that they can take right from this show to move towards their goal of becoming superhuman?
You know, I think this would be my one action step is this. So start to put sleep in your priority list, in your superhuman strategy. So many of us have diet, many of us have exercise. Now let's put sleep there. Let's put sleep and prioritize it, because to achieve those other things in terms of, you know, increasing your metabolism, getting strong, you know, living these lives that are full of energy, full of, you know, clear minds, strong bodies, sleep. So start to think about how you can do that. What tools do you need? Whether it be, you know, different supplements or different strategies to monitor, whatever it may be, but put sleep in as one of your strategies that you'll always pay attention to.
I love it. Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We love talking through this stuff with you. We'll be here at the same time next week. So have an amazing week, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.